The Justice Department of the United States, the DOJ, headed up by Attorney General Merrick Garland, they have filed suit against Apple in an antitrust case saying the iPhone maker has a monopoly over the phone market and has harmed customers and developers and rival companies in doing so. They say that the ecosystem that Apple has going on is anti-competitive, and so therefore they are going to sue them to break it up. What does this mean? Should Apple be worried? And more importantly, is it completely wrong-headed and absolutely ridiculous? Well, let's discuss. Hey there, friends on YouTube. My name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. Painfully honest tech, so honest it hurts. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by. Hit that subscribe button, like, bell, notify, all of those things. Apple is a monopoly. This comes up every couple of years, and the government now seems to think that they have some sort of case against Apple, that their smartphone business, the iPhone, and everything that goes along with it. Here's what they say. To protect its smartphone monopoly and the extraordinary profits that monopoly generates, Apple repeatedly chooses to make its products worse for consumers to prevent competition from emerging. I don't know exactly what they mean by worse for consumers. I don't think that, I mean, is it worse based on price? Is worse based on quality? What is worse? I don't know. Be that as it may, let's discuss what is a monopoly. A monopoly is, from the Webster's Dictionary, this is monopoly. A monopoly is the exclusive possession or control of something, especially in an area of business. A monopoly can also refer to a commodity or service controlled by a monopoly or the company or group that has that control. So, they allege that the Apple's iPhone ecosystem is a monopoly, and the anti-competitive practices extend to the company's watch and their advertising, their browser, their FaceTime, the news offerings, etc., etc. So let's go through this and kind of break it down a little bit and see if there's a leg to stand on. First off, let's talk about the messaging. Apple, they say that Apple forces people to buy an iPhone to message people. That is absolutely not the case. They say Apple makes third-party messaging apps on the iPhone worse generally and relative to Apple owns its messaging app by prohibiting third-party apps from sending or receiving carrier-based messages. I guess they're taking umbrage with iMessage, which is an Apple exclusive, you know, peer-to-peer kind of thing, very secure, very, very good in general ways. And so therefore, SMS and MMS are what are offered by carriers. Apple does in no way keep people from sending SMS or MMS messages. The problem is that when people send these messages, say they send a video or something like that, the quality of the video that arrives is not great quality. That's not necessarily Apple's fault. They have solved that problem for their users by creating iMessage, which is a peer-to-peer secure network where through Wi-Fi, they can send messages of higher quality. They don't have to crush it down to make it smaller so it can go through the air and end up on somebody else's phone. However, RCS messaging, which is now the standard that a lot of Android phones are using, is much better quality, and Apple has agreed in 2024 already that they are going to support RCS. So this whole issue is really a non-issue. Apple does not make third-party messaging apps on the iPhone worse. You've got WhatsApp that people use. That's the biggest messaging app in the world, I think, available on the iPhone. So there's just not really anything to this messaging section that is tethered to the current reality. They also take issue with the Apple Watch because they say Apple designed it to only work with iPhones and not Android devices. That makes it so that users who purchase the Apple Watch face substantial out-of-pocket costs if they do not keep buying iPhones. They go on to say Apple has denied users access to high-performing smartwatches with preferred stylings, better user interfaces and services, or better batteries. Apple did make the Apple Watch to work with iPhones. That was kind of the whole point. And I don't think that anybody out there is, like, oh, I've got the Apple Watch Series 4. I have to buy another iPhone so that I can keep using this $300 watch. They don't understand the whole point of the ecosystem. Now, Apple did try to get an Android version of the Apple Watch software going, and they decided it just wasn't going to work, and that's completely within their purview to do that. Apple makes a product that is an accessory to a product, and so therefore, how can the Apple Watch be anti-competitive? I mean, maybe you could say that Apple is being anti-competitive to themselves by not offering multiple like shapes of watches. I don't know what it is that they're trying to say here, but I do know that, again, it's a ridiculous, wrong-headed take on what the system is. It is not what they think it is. They also take umbrage with Apple's Apple Pay system. They say that when an iPhone user puts a credit card or debit card in the Apple Wallet, Apple inserts itself into the process that would otherwise occur directly between the user and the card issuer. For one thing, it's not an exclusive system. Apple's allowed companies to use their system. When an iPhone user puts a credit or debit card in Apple Wallet, Apple inserts itself into the process that would otherwise directly occur between the user and the card issuer. Now, if the card issuer had problems with that, the card issuer would not allow it. Apple Wallet and Apple Pay, Apple Pay is different than Apple Wallet. The Apple Wallet can take your different credit cards. You can have your Apple Pay set up to come from your debit card. There's lots of different things that the Apple Wallet can do. It can have your boarding pass for your plane flight. I don't know exactly how this is anti-competition. Samsung has Samsung Pay. Google has Google Pay. They are also inserting themselves between the issuer of the card and the consumer as a service provided by the operating system. So I really, I mean, if you understand why this is a problem, you let me know down in the comments. They also take issue with the App Store. We've talked about the App Store many, many times. Epic Games had a problem with the App Store. Apple has dealt with that, and I think it's coming along. But they also complained about not allowing super apps. And I think WeChat is one of the examples that they, so it's a social media, it's a messaging, it's a this or that or the other, like lots of different things. Facebook is a super app in that way. So, I mean, it just seems like they don't necessarily understand what's going on. What the DOJ is alleging here is that Apple has created a system in itself to make it so that people can't do anything but buy iPhones. And the iPhone now, I think in Q4 of 2023, the iPhone had 64% of the market, while Samsung had 18%. Just the fact that Samsung had a share of the market, to me, says that Apple's not propping up their iPhone business by making people do things or keeping them from being able to do stuff. Messaging, a non-issue. Apple Watch, a ridiculous misunderstanding of the whole purpose of the Apple Watch. App Store, there are issues with that have been worked out. There's just so much to this that is completely wrong-headed, old-headed, and completely misunderstands or misrepresents Apple's business model and draws assumptions based on those misunderstandings. And what I don't understand and why my brain still says, but, there must be something to it, right? My brain says this because, there's the Attorney General of the United States and 16 other lawyers out there talking about how Apple has created a monopoly for itself. It's a ridiculous claim. If anything, what Apple has done is they have created an ecosystem of products that work well together, that coexist with one another, that communicate back and forth with one another, and allow the users a much better user experience because of it. And other companies haven't done that, and so therefore Apple has created a monopoly. There's nobody out there forcing you to buy an Apple Watch. If you want to buy an Apple Watch, you buy an Apple Watch, you probably already have an iPhone, okay? And I don't think that if anybody feels like they're locked into buying iPhones because they bought an Apple Watch. If you want a different kind of phone, you buy an Android phone. There are many of them available. You tell me, is Apple a monopoly because they want people to buy iPhones? Are they creating consumer hostile practices by making Apple Watches that have to work with the iPhone? Is Apple Pay or Apple Wallet something that restricts other people from being able to use their... I don't even know what they're asking about with this one, honestly. What Apple has allowed people to do is, instead of carrying their individual cards, they put them in the Apple Wallet and they can use them. They can scan their boarding passes when they get on. If other companies don't offer that, which, I mean, they do, then how is it anti-competitive? Maybe you can help me down in the comments below. I'm just flabbergasted, dumbfounded, kind of embarrassed, like, you know, like cringy embarrassed for the Department of Justice here at how wrong-headed they are in what they've presented as a potential antitrust case. You let me know what you think down in the comments below. I will continue to try and figure this one out. Thanks so much for being here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you head on out the door and try and unwrap your mind from this. I do appreciate it so much. Once again, my name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. This is Painfully Honest Tech. Tech so honest it hurts. Until the next time, I am out.